Okay, today is part of the 2012 West Star Leadership Project. I'm interviewing a fellow of the community, Mr. Paul Blount, who's road superintendent, alumni of UT Martin, founder of the AGR chapter at Martin. He's been road superintendent for years and very good historian, so we're going to ask him a few questions that has led him up to where he is in life. First question will be, describe your career, Paul.
The career that I have right now is more or less something that I dreamed about when I was a kid, you know, being able to do this at some point in time, being the road superintendent of Hardin County. Of course, years and years ago, the title was road commissioner. Mm-hmm. Now, I started out as a first job that I ever had really was working in a laundry when I was 9 years old. And I was working for a fellow, we were delivering laundry, and the next year he told me that he was going to start farming and wanted me to know if I could drive a tractor. And I said, well, I'd sure like to learn. So that's where I started out with my equipment, more or less headquarters, with driving farm equipment. And for a fellow by the name of Willoughby, which is Ed Willoughby's daddy. And I did that for 3 years. Of course, going to school all the time. Then when I was between 13 and 14 years old, my daddy let me start working on the road some. And he told us, all of us boys, that he didn't really want us to follow his career because the work was rough work, you know. Of course, that's all we thought about. That's all I thought about, was doing what he did. And I started to work on the road when I was about 13 or 14 and worked my way through school, running equipment. And after I started to college, I did the same thing. I would take off when I'd run out of cash, you know, or I'd have to take off and work a while, and I did that, so it took me nearly 10 years to get out of school, but I was working, running heavy equipment all these years. Then when I got out of college, I went to work for a firm selling construction equipment, and I did that for 10 years. Then after that, I decided, well, I would like to get back into road work somewhere or another. I want to get back to building roads, so I started buying my own equipment. And I did that from 1977 till I had a paving company and a grading company and a gravel company. And did that until I took this job in 1998. And I've been here since then. And that's pretty well my career to this point. And I'm real proud of it, and I'm glad that I can be of service, you know, to the community. And I feel like I can because my experience that I've had every phase of equipment and road building business, all the way from bridge building to paving to earthwork and clearing, and I feel like it's an asset to me, you know.
I see. Well, the roads in the county are in very good shape, so you've done a tremendous job. Okay, what the next one be was, what would you want to accomplish with the rest of your life and for the community?
Well, it would basically be concentrated around what I do right now. I'd like to do more for the roads and more for, you know, we've got over 200 bridges in this county. A lot of them are small, but basically we've got about 150 bridges that are inspected by the state. And for the last few years, we've been trying to build 1 or 2 bridges a year. This year, we've got 3 bridges on the docket to get built try to get them before the end of the year. And this is what we call replacement. And we started, when I first took office, we started making applications to replace some of the larger bridges, because I knew I could see the future, and I knew things were going to get out of hand as far as inflation. And sure enough, it did. But we were lucky enough to get 3 or 4 big bridges built before things got so high we couldn't afford it. So that's what I'd like to continue to do. That and in the paving business, that's my expertise. I was in that business for 20-something years, and if we had the funds, every road in this county would be paved. I mean, they'd be either on the way to getting it done. So for the future, for the community, that's what I'd like to concentrate on, just more for the roads, because I think the roads are kind of, they're established stepchild to the business people. They just assume, you know, the roads are going to be there, But somebody's got to keep them up.
Somebody has to keep them up.
Somebody's got to be thinking about this in the future, because they'll always be here. They'll be here longer than anything. You know, buildings may go to the wayside, but your roads and bridges will forever be here.
And it takes infrastructure for the community to progress and make
Function, that's
good.
exactly right. So anything I can do in that area, because that's all I know. That's what I've just lived at. I've lived and breathed it.
All right. Do you remember an event in your life that had a major impact on your life?
On my life now, of course, on what I do now, it's my father and my grandfather. My granddaddy was the first road superintendent this county ever had. It was about 100 years ago. And I followed him around whenever I was a little old boy, and he'd tell me about things he did whenever he was doing road work and all that. And that gave me the motivation to look down the road to wind up where I am now, more or less. So you know, I've been fortunate to have such good families. There's no doubt about that. I look at people and I've never envied anybody, because I felt like I always had the best.
Had the best, okay. If you was going to give someone some advice that's following you on doing your job, what would you say?
I'd say go to school as long as somebody will pay for it, or as long as you can afford it, and get every kind of degree that you can, because then you can go any way you want to. Then you can pick out something though that you want to do, and if you're doing something you don't like, don't do it. Get out of it. Do something that, because I you know, right now I get up every morning at 3 o'clock, and I get up here by 4 o'clock and get my work done. Nobody bothers me that time of day. But I think it's just it's what a person can envision. Look for a dream and dream it and make it work.
Right here. Well, Paul, I thank you for your interview and for your insight into it. And I'm Emery White from the West Star class of 2012, and hope this completes our class project. Thank you.